Good evening and welcome to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the home of the Mustangs, where it is week 9, and more than that, it is homecoming. It is our makeup date. This was supposed to be on the date that Hurricane Ian visited us, which was originally the Edgewater game. That game was moved to October 10th, but we certainly didn't want to have homecoming on a Monday night. That would be profoundly odd, and so instead we have moved homecoming to October 21st. My name is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva. I'm joined, as always, by Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. We'll be taking you through tonight's game, players getting ready to take the field. And Neil, you and I talked at the last home game when we faced Edgewater that Wekiva was still looking for that signature win. We've had Wekiva beat the teams that they were supposed to beat. You could argue the West Orange was certainly something of an upset, but that signature win against a really strong team. I don't know if Horizon was that signature win, but I know if they were to come away with a victory tonight against Jones, it most certainly would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And with 2 games left, 4-4 record, the bottom line is Wekiva has to win both of their last games. Of course, Apopka is next week after Jones this week. Yes, it is signature in terms of reputation and being able to make a statement, but you also need to beat those teams that are ranked higher than you in order to get into the playoffs. The playoffs are based on a point system. We talked about this at the end of the last game against Edgewater. Wekiva was officially eliminated from championship contendership. So that leaves you with only the possibility of getting into the playoffs via the wild card, which is not impossible, but Wekiva has a lot of work to do. They are 7th in the standings. 4 teams go, so they have to move up jump over 3 teams. And the only way you're going to do that is you have to win those last 2 games in order to get the points you need to
And,
jump
of course,
over them.
those last 2 games are not a cakewalk. Obviously, next week is a bye, so Wekiva will get a chance to prepare for Apopka. But Jones and Apopka both are really, really tough competition. So we're going to see this is one of the featured games of the week. A lot of attention being paid to this game, not just because it's homecoming, but because the Tigers and the Mustangs promised to put on a dazzling show. So now let's welcome the local crowd and get things going here with the national anthem. Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium for varsity football competition of Week 9 and Homecoming 2022. Before we begin our game this evening, we ask that you please stand as we honor America with a presentation of colors presented by the cadets of Wekiva's Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps program. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Genesis Ramirez Traverso, carrying the U.S. flag. Carrying the Florida State flag is Cadet Staff Sergeant Glenwyn Thompson. Carrying the Air Force flag is Cadet Airman Jaritza Damian Godino. And the Rifle Guards are Cadet Second Lieutenant Prince Rodriguez and Cadet Senior Airman Zeno Borrego. And now, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem, performed tonight by the Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band.
Is Wekiva still in the Sentinel Super 16?
Yeah, I got them number 10.
Oh, there's still 10.
Our thanks to the Mustang Marching Band and the AFJROTC for their participation in tonight's pregame festivities. So, Neil, as we were saying, this is a critical game really for both teams, but especially for Wekiva, who is trying to get in on the bubble. For those who are not familiar with the FHSAA postseason system, the district champions, so the teams with the best record among district play, will go in the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds. The remaining 4 selections in each regional complex are selected by wildcard status, so it's an at-large for the region. The next 4 highest-ranked teams among non-champions according to Max Prep's power rankings. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But first, as our teams take midfield for the coin toss, we'd like to thank our officials for tonight's game from the Central Florida Officials Association here in Orlando. The referee is Rodney Clevenger, umpire Javon Russell, head linesman Thomas Bright, line judge Jack Bradford, back judge John Dool, and electronic clock operator Julius Walker. We thank them for their dedicated service to our high school athletic programs and join them along with our participating schools, reminding everyone to make great sportsmanship a part of this and every athletic competition. The Tigers have won the toss and elected to receive first in the first half.
Yeah, so first off, Mark, to finish your thought, it's actually the FHSAA point system.
It's a modified.
It is similar to the Max Preps. They are based on the team's records, the records of the opponent, and then the records of the opponent's opponents. But also want to go ahead and point out, we started by talking about Wekiva still trying to get that signature victory. And Jones would definitely be one of those because of their ranking. They're ranked 3rd in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. They're ranked 18th in the entire state Class 3M. And then regionally, they are number 8 in those standings. Like we said, they are right now, if the playoffs were to start today, they would be the 6th seed, the number 2 wild card. Wekiva comes in. Despite the 4-4 record, and again, based on their strength of schedule, they are number 10, and they are also a top 20 team, but they're not quite as high as Jones in the mid-teens.
Yeah, so certainly I think if you're,
10th in the Sentinel.
So certainly if you're taking the, the Vegas odds here, Wekiva is the underdog in this contest, but in spite of that, these two teams are actually pretty well matched against each other when it comes to physicality.
Yeah, and another stat mentioned, Wekiva's 4-4. Jones comes in 5-2, so they have yet to have their they already had their bye week. And another thing I want to point out, we mentioned that Wekiva has been eliminated from district championship contendership. The only way they can get in is a wild card. So has Jones, because Jones also lost to Edgewater 14-13, and Horizon had somewhat of a unique schedule in terms of the timing. They did not play their first game until last week. Of course, that was against Wekiva. So as of last week, before they played Wekiva, they were still eligible. They were still mathematically alive. Of course, and this doesn't have anything to really do with either of these teams, but just to give you an idea of what's going on with the district. Edgewater and Horizon play tonight. If Edgewater wins that game, they will be the district champion. If Horizon wins, they then have to win next week against Jones.
So certainly a lot on the line tonight here at Wekiva. We've talked about, Sincere Edwards and his impact that he's had, and I think if Wekiva is to remain competitive in this ball game, they are going to have to make an impact on the ground.
Yeah, that's really for any game, but in particular, it seems like we're saying that every week, but again, that goes back to Wekiva's strengths of schedule. This is the 8th out of 9 teams they've played as in some top 10 ranking, and when you play teams that Wekiva has played, teams that can put up points on the board, Jones averaging about 30 points a game. What you want to do is you got to keep the ball, keep them off the field, like I like to say, and you always remind me that I like to say it. If you don't have possession of the ball, you can't score, and that's really why the rushing game is so important, aside from also wearing down the opponent.
So the Tigers now have sauntered onto the field leisurely. And now, please welcome to the field your Wekiva High School Mustangs. Of course, on homecoming night, we pull out all the stops. We had the fog cannons and the confetti cannons and brought out the inflatable dome. So Wekiva ready to go tonight, coming out with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah, of course, homecoming, as you just mentioned, Mark, it always gets you motivation, your energy up a couple of notches. So, could not find this, but now I did. Jones is averaging 24.7 points per game, and they are giving up only 9 points if you don't include the Florida team, if you don't include Duncanville, Texas. That was a national game, Duncanville out of Texas. That was the exception, which proves the norm. They lost 44-21, but they have not given up more than 21 points in any of their other games and 9 points per game. So going back to the rushing, it's obviously, like I mentioned, important because you want to keep Jones off the field. The longer Wekiva has possession, the less time Jones has. But also, you're dealing with a team that gives up only 9 points. So you have to get physical with them, and you have to control the tempo from the get-go.
I want to remind those of you here in the stadium that we are live streaming tonight's game on both YouTube and Varsity Sports Network. If you have friends or family who are not able to join us in person for tonight's game and they'd like to tune in live for free, just pull up the Wekiva Sports channel on YouTube or go to the Orlando channel on Varsity Sports Network and invite your friends and family to watch live. We also want to remind you that tonight is a special night. We will have homecoming festivities at halftime. We'll present the senior court, and then I have a sealed envelope in front of me that I will break open at halftime and reveal our 2022 Homecoming King and Queen. That means that the bands will not be performing during halftime, but we will make some time for them immediately after the conclusion of tonight's game. So as I mentioned a few moments ago, the Tigers won the toss and have elected to receive, so they will get the first crack on offense tonight.
Yeah, and looking at Jones, since they have the ball first, there's kind of this feeling when you talk to coaches that they're more of a passing team. They are a passing team, but just slightly, maybe about 53-47. They average 24 pass attempts a game. Maxine Jean Denise, their quarterback, and they rushed the ball 21 times. Their leading rusher is Parker with 5.3 yards per average. And we are underway, Mark.
And it's a little bit muffed, and so that'll give Wekiva a little bit extra time to get there. Still not a bad return for the Tigers. And so, already a little bit of scuffling. 2 penalty flags fly.
Yep.
And yeah, that's going to be contact after the play. I don't know who started it, but that's not a particularly good note to start the game on.
No, and speaking of penalties, we still have yet to see who it's against. It's now
flag on the play. Personal foul is called against the Mustang kicking team. That's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. First down, Tigers.
And we've talked about it all season. I hate to keep talking about it, but it's right in front of us. Just Wekiva is such an undisciplined team. I know maybe Coach Schwartz would disagree with me on that. But
the penalty yardage speaks for itself.
Yeah. And last week, they had 22 penalties, 195 yards. And I got to tell you, Mark, both you and I, we've been following high school football in the Central Florida area for close to 30 years. I've never covered a football game in which a team committed over 20 penalties. They won last week. Again, we mentioned they defeated Horizon. They were simply the more talented team, the bigger team. But obviously, if you're going to commit 22 penalties against Jones, you're not going to be in this game. Much different Tiger, so to speak, of tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you cannot, when you're playing against high caliber teams like Edgewater and Jones and Apopka, you cannot give up the dead ball penalties. I mean, you understand when you get called for holding or pass interference or some of those live ball penalties that just happens in the course of the game. You zigged when you should have zagged. But the dead ball penalties, as you say, Neil, those are the ones that turn coaches' hairs gray. They're avoidable, and it's just mental focus.
They're momentum killers. And last week, Wekiva again won. They won convincingly 34-7. It didn't matter, but quite frankly, they should have put at least 50 points on the board. And there was the penalties, which killed at least half a dozen drives.
Yeah, we've seen that because the penalty is not just the yardage. We've seen it here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium that those penalties have occurred in consequential situations. They've occurred on third and long.
They create consequential situations.
Yes, third and long or fourth and long where all of a sudden a first down that shouldn't have happened does happen, and it renews a drive that should have ended with a punt. And it looks like now we've decided that we're going to play this game with first down markers.
Okay.
Apparently we forgot to get those out of the closet this morning.
Think about this, and Coach Schwartz pointed this out. You gain 4 yards on the first down. You gain 3 yards on the second down. You're now looking at 3rd and 3. Of course, that opens up the playbook. You can run or pass. And 3rd and short, it's very manageable. But if you get a holding penalty, you're now 3rd and 11. You got to make up those 7 yards for a second time.
So now the Tigers will start at the 40-yard line rather than the 25.
Handoff on the right, plowing through that right side. And that'll be a pickup of 3 yards.
Jaden Gellens on the opening carry, gain of 3 on the play. It brings up 2nd and 7 for the Tigers from their own 43-yard line.
So Gellens not seeing the ball very much, only his 12th carry, but gains the 3 yards. And now the handoff again, and they go to the left side. Got an opening in the first down, first big play of the game.
Gellens spins for some extra yardage and picks up the first down. Davian Watkins on the stop for the Mustangs. That puts the ball into Wekiva territory at the 44-yard line, 1st and 10 Tigers.
That's an 11-yard gain. Actually, 13-yard gain for number 13. And Jones going no huddle. And now they go to the pass. Jean Denise, incomplete. So talked about Jean Denise. He does attempt to throw the ball 24 times on average.
Pass falls incomplete. Putman may have gotten a hand on it. It brings up 2nd and 10 for the Tigers.
So one thing to understand about Jones, and this is based on their defensive identity, giving up only 9 points. They do not make a lot of Jean Denise does not throw a lot of interceptions. 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, only an 86.2 quarterback rating and a 45% completion as they go back to Gillens. He slams ahead, a couple-yard gain. That'll bring up 3rd down.
Jaden Gellens up the middle. Watkins on the stop. That'll pick up 4. 3rd and 6 coming up for the Tigers from the Mustang 41-yard line.
And so, Mark, I've said this over and over again in the 15 years we've worked together, but, I will take a quarterback with a low percentage and a low quarterback rating over a guy who throws a lot of interceptions every day of the week. And
waits for his turn and
completion, and that's Gillens coming out of the backfield, going down that left sideline.
Jaden Gellens turns from running back to receiver in this case. He's taken down by Tato Shaw Jr. After picking up the first down. The ball spotted at the 33-yard line, 1st and 10 Tigers. And you have to applaud there the quarterback's patience.
Jean Denise, yeah.
Because Tato Shaw had Gillens dead to rights there for a little bit until Gillens finally found an outside corner and created some space. You mentioned just a moment ago that he does not throw interceptions, and that's the reason why. Because if he had thrown that ball about 1.5 seconds sooner, then Shaw would have had an opportunity to pick it off.
That's Williams with the reception.
Jalen Williams picks up 2.5, maybe 3 yards on the reception. Ball spotted at the 31-yard line. 2nd and 8 coming up for the Tigers.
So Jones uses the same spread idea that Wekiva does. There's an incomplete now on the right side.
Pass intended for Jalen Williams falls incomplete. 3rd and 8 coming up for the Tigers.
The spread offense, one back set. They line up as many as 5 receivers. Of course, you need to have at least 2 on minimum. And they do also like to use their backs. So they do use the one back set the majority of the time, but they do also use that 2 back set. They'll put in an H back. That's one who lines up behind the guard and tackle, and then sometimes they'll use a lead blocker, and that is just exactly what it says. The guy will run in front. This time they empty the backfield, and we're not going to get the play off.
Flag on the play prior to the snap. Offsides called against the Mustangs defense. That's a 5-yard donation to the Tiger cause and a replay of 3rd down.
And there's exactly what we were talking about, Mark. Now instead of a 3rd and 8, you have 3rd and 3.
Yeah, and, obviously an offsides penalty is, not quite as costly or as embarrassing as a personal foul or unsportsmanlike penalty.
Yards.
But still, nevertheless, it does represent that lack of mental focus that gives away free yardage outside of the context of a play.
And Jones continues to matriculate the ball down.
More whistles
great
prior to the snap. False start called against the Tiger offense. That's 5 yards from the previous spot. Back to the original spot. Now 3rd and 8 again. So we all just lost 45 seconds of our lives that we'll never get back. And we're back to where we were before.
And that means 3rd and 8. So Wekiva's starting defensive lineman left to right. Number 11, Davian Watkins. Number 12, Omar Hayes. James Mixon, 99. And Sincere Edwards at the end. Of course, Edwards, the all-everything defensive player. That's his formal official listing as we get a running play. It's not Gene Denise, a Wildcat. And
Dylan Wade with a direct snap.
And Wade, one of the defensive stars for Jones, who also takes some offensive snaps.
Ball is spotted near the 25-yard line.
That's the 26.
That is short of 1st down yardage. Brings up 4th and 2. So that offsides penalty that was negated by the ensuing false start penalty turns out to be consequential for the Tigers after all. That would have been a 1st down, but now they're left 2 yards short, and it looks like they are lined up to go for it.
Your linebackers Quadar, Cargill, and Aaron McCray, and we'll get to secondary in a moment. Critical 4th down. Snap straight back. Wildcat to, I believe that was Dylan Wade again. In either case, regardless, it was a 1st down.
It sure was.
Opened up.
Dylan Wade, again, with the Wildcat direct snap. He is to the 20-yard line for a gain of 5, and that is enough for a Tiger 1st down.
So a very methodical drive to open up this game for Jones. And they are now 1st and 10 at Wekiva's 20-yard line. And now the inside handoff. They go back to Wade. And he's hit at the line, but drags that defensive line ahead about 5 yards.
Jarian Parker on the carry for the Tigers. That's good for a gain of 4 yards. Brings up 2nd and a long 6 for Jones.
And Jones continues to matriculate that ball down the field, to quote Hank Stram. And I use that because this does feel like they're matriculating down the field. And now Wade, again, a 3rd handoff. And this time Wekiva has his number, but there's also flags.
Dylan Wade on the carry for a short gain. Flag on the play.
So your secondary for Wekiva, your two.
Chop block is called against the Tiger offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
Secondary, your 2 cornerbacks are Justin Hutchinson, number 5, Tyrell Gainey. Your safeties, a pair of Smith, Romel, number 3, Jabari, number 4. And the nickel back is Matt Perkins, number 36. And now that the penalty has been assessed, that will put it back to the 29-yard line. So pretty much everything that could go wrong did go wrong for Jones on that. That also means that the chop block occurred behind the line of scrimmage. It was at the 19, and the line of scrimmage was the 16. So now it is 2nd and 23. Jones needing to get to Wekiva's 6 for the first down. 6.5 remaining in the first quarter. Jones has had the ball since the opening kickoff. Jean Denise going into the end zone, overthrown, and Laundry immediately coming out.
The pass to the end zone falls incomplete. There are flags in the secondary. Intended receiver was Tyron Randall.
And looking down on the left at that 25-yard line, I can see Coach Schwartz put his hands up in the you gotta be kidding mode. 6:22 remaining.
Pass interference called against the Mustang defense. That'll be half the distance to the goal.
And the half the distance will be at the 15-yard line. So a 14-yard penalty.
And we have reached the midpoint of the first quarter, and so we will pause for an official timeout. With 6 minutes, 22 seconds remaining in the first quarter, Tigers in the Mustang red zone, but we remain scoreless here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. This season, give the gift of a healthy smile. Visit Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids with 3 convenient offices in Apopka, Orlando, and Windermere, offering braces and aligners for all ages. And exclusively in Apopka, make an appointment with Dr. Alma, our board-certified pediatric dentist. Yeah, we'd like to remind everyone that our halftime festivities will be preempted by homecoming, so please join us as we crown the King and Queen for 2022. But the bands will have an opportunity to perform after the game. Welcome back to live action here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Tigers into the Mustang red zone, trying to get points on the board first with 6:22.
On the march at their own 15-yard line, 2nd and 5, and they're not going to go anywhere there. They were running back, swallowed up as soon as he hit the line of scrimmage.
Dylan Wade on the carry.
13th play of this drive, though.
Short gain brings up 3rd and 3 for the Tigers from the Mustang 13.
And handoff again to Wade. He tries to hit that right side, center and the guard. And he might have actually gotten that down. About 3 or 4 extra attempts. Just kept those legs churning.
Dylan Wade on the carry. Stopped by Jabari Smith. Yeah, it's going to matter where forward progress stopped. I think he ended up behind the 10-yard line by the time it was over. But
yeah, they're saying it's a first down. And
forward progress does give a gain of 5 yards to the 8, and it is 1st and goal, Tigers.
From the Wekiva 8-yard line, 15th play coming up. Now they hand it off again. Nope, it's a quarterback draw. And he was collared. Not actually by the collard, but a collar movement, taking down Jean Denise for a short gain there on the left side.
Jean Denise on the QB keeper. Ramel Smith and Omar Hayes team up for the stop. No gain on the play, 2nd and goal.
Jones continues, no huddle. And now the Wekiva defense tightening up. Again, the 3rd consecutive play. They've swallowed up the running back as soon as he makes contact at the line of scrimmage.
Jarian Parker on the carry. Noah Putnam has the stop, and that'll be a loss of 1 on the play. Brings up 3rd and goal from the 9.
And so we talked about how important it was for Wekiva to stay on the offense, to keep Jones' offense off the field. Well, Jones is now taking a page out of that book. This is their 16th play of this drive. Wekiva yet to touch the ball. 4.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. At 7.5 minutes, Jones has had this ball.
All in one drive, and now the Tigers request their first timeout of the first half. With 4 minutes, 29 seconds remaining in the first quarter, we remain scoreless here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Dr. Elizabeth Davis with Orlando Health and Jewett Orthopedic Institute is honored to be the team physician for Wekiva High School. On the field and off, they provide a full spectrum of orthopedic services in a multitude of specialties and subspecialties. From hip, knee, and shoulder experts to orthopedic traumatology and more, offering proven leading-edge techniques and technologies, Orlando Health Jewett Orthopedic Institute provides patients world-class, personalized care from a number of convenient locations throughout Central Florida. Learn more at orlandohealth.com/sports. Orlando Health. Choose well.
Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi with the call from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. No score, 4.5 remaining. Jones has had the ball in the first half, trying to get it into the end zone and knocked away. Give the defensive play to number 22.
Pass is broken up by Jabari Smith in the end zone, and that will bring up 4th and goal from the 9-yard line. So the Mustangs with an opportunity to complete a goal line stand here after, to your point, Neil, Jones puts a tremendous amount of time of possession on the clock with a single drive going on 8 minutes now.
Yeah, and this will be the 18th play. Now with that, they're going to attempt the field goal. They have only rushed the ball 5 times out of the previous 17 plays. And the ball's down, kicks up, and, well, that was good. No, it was no good. Had the distance, obviously, but wide left.
Axion Cobb's field goal attempt is wide left and no good. We remain scoreless with 4 minutes, 17 seconds remaining in the first quarter. So the Mustang defense comes up with the stop. Yeah.
At that, inside that 10-yard line.
We said that this was going to be a physical game, and both teams have delivered on that so far, as you noted, Neil, with the play selection.
So Wekiva will finally get their hands on the ball.
Mustangs take over with 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. So a little nuance there to high school rules. After a missed field goal, it's essentially the same as a touchback.
1st and 10 at the Wekiva 20-yard line, and so now Wekiva will go on the offense. And
this play is over before it started. Dead ball prior to the snap. False start called against the Mustang offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot, and a replay of first down. Now 1st and 15 from the 15.
3rd penalty for Wekiva. So Wekiva will try to at least answer Jones' methodicalness, if there is such a word. Again, that was an 18-play drive. Jones started at its own 40-yard line.
Yes, that's right. It was supposed to be the 25, and it ended up being the 40 because of the late hit call. Now we get the handoff.
That's Weathers slamming into that middle of the lineup.
Terrell Weathers on the carry. Stop made by Malik Bryant. No gain on the play. 2nd and 15 coming up from the Mustangs' 15-yard line.
Of course, you are familiar with Terrell Weathers if you're a Wekiva fan. He's our Mr. All-Everything running back. 152 yards per game. And now they're going to go to the air. Davis finding Gainey. Snagged that ball out of the air, and it's a first down.
Tyrell Gainey on the catch for a Mustang first down. Ball spotted at the 30-yard line for a gain of 15 on the completion.
So 1st and 10 at the Wekiva 35, and certainly that'll get Wekiva's mojo going, establishing some offense out of that one-back set. Now Davis is going to go with the QB draw, tries to pick his way running laterally, and he is dumped. Looks like he lost some yardage.
Davis on the carry
And so, also want to point out last week.
Gain of 1 on the play. That'll bring up 2nd and 9 for the Mustangs. And, of course, that previous play by Gainey, I mean, he was well covered. That was a nice move there.
Yeah, that was all Gainey.
Yes, I mean, he kept focused, kept his eye on the ball.
Give Davis credit. He took a page out of Gene Denise's book, put the ball where only Gainey could catch it, but Gainey still came up with that reception. Now they're going with an end around. That's Bennett looking for a block, and he's not going to really get it. Does get some forward progress. It'll be better than what it originally appeared, but still 3rd and long.
Joshua Bennett on the carry for a pickup of 5 yards. That brings up 3rd and 4 for the Mustangs from their own 36-yard line.
Okay, so a bit of deception there. He actually got more yards than it originally appeared. And as you heard Mark say, 3rd and 4.
Here's the handoff. Weathers,
hot
juking
skip.
and jiving, skips around, and he gets out of bounds after picking up the chain movement.
And there you
Terrell
see
Weathers on the carry for Mustang, 1st down.
And there you see Terrell can also gain the yardage with change of directions. He's not just straight ahead, lower the shoulder and pounding ground.
Ball spotted at the 46-yard line, 1st and 10, Wekiva. Yeah, you saw he was dead to rights there for what looked like a hot second, and then looked like he was walking across hot coals there. Like just that quick foot movement, escaped from the low tackle and danced his way for a few extra yards.
No score, 4:22 remaining in the first quarter. The handoff to Weathers again, and he is pummeled even before getting to that line of scrimmage.
I think they might have been better off if they'd taken the first handoff option to Bennett.
Yeah, 2-yard loss.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for a no gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up for Wekiva from their own 46.
And I want to mention, too, Mark, last week we talked about the penalties that Wekiva incurred, 22, 195 yards, but there was some good. Davis with a career high in yardage. He was only 9 of 22, but threw for 267 yards. And there you see that. Laser radar.
Catch is made by Joshua Bennett. No, the signal that is dropped, and it falls incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 46.
And that was the other, I guess, say negative area they really struggled last week. Drop passes. Mentioned before that play, Davis was 9 of 22, and he probably should have been about 15 of 22. Talked to Coach Schwartz after the game, and he said that Terrell has improved tremendously in terms of putting the ball on a rope, leading the receivers into the pass, and you just saw it there.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, that was a fastball. You really needed a glove to catch that, but...
And that was really an epitome of what happened last week in the passing game. And now Davis...
One-on-one, beats his tackler, and he's got the sideline to himself. No! He stepped out at the 40-yard line, but it will be enough for a Mustang 1st down.
Yeah, you saw the wave of Wekiva players and cheerleaders, and the fans just keep moving steadily down.
We have a late flag on the play, after the play. Unsportsmanlike conduct is called against the Mustangs.
So I was mentioning it looked really neat to see everybody just moving down. It kind of looked like the tide rolling in there. Unfortunately, as you said,
about to roll back.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as you just heard Mark say.
That's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play. The Mustangs move back into their own territory. 1st and 10.
So that's a 1 step forward, 1 step backwards. And now the tide is going on the low side, although not as quick.
Ironically, the penalty yardage is exactly the same as the amount of the run. So we are right back at the 46-yard line all over again.
So Davis lines them up, 15 seconds in the first quarter, no score. Neil Fisher, Mark Barchi, Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site, 1 back set, Gay in motion. And the handoff to Weathers. He lowers the shoulder, a little bit of a juke and a jive. And when all said and done, the first quarter will come to an end on a 2-yard gain.
Terrell Weathers on the carry 2-yard gain, and that will take us to the end of the first quarter. Still scoreless here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, Week 9, homecoming night for the Mustangs. Donuts on the scoreboard after 12. The Mustangs are off next week. It will be a bye week, so you get a Friday night to yourself. But then, coming up in 2 weeks, the Mustangs host the Apopka Blue Darters in our annual crosstown rivalry matchup, the Mayor's Cup, or as we informally like to call it, the Tater Bowl. Coming up on week 11 to wrap up the season, and that will also be senior night. Make sure you get here early so you can join us to bid farewell to the class of 2023. We are back to live action here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, scoreless at the end of the first quarter. The Mustangs right now are in a fierce competition with the Tigers to see who can thwart the offensive effort more.
This is Weathers. He bounces outside, and his forward progress is met sternly, but he does gain, I believe that was 4 yards, Mark.
Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. Stop is made by Robinson, and that'll pick up another 2 to 3 yards, and that puts the ball at the 49-yard line. 3rd and 7 coming up for the Mustangs.
So if you joined us late, no score. We just started the second quarter. Jones had the ball for 18 plays. They took the opening kickoff, 7.5, almost 8 minutes. And a field goal attempt of 26 yards was no good, wide left by Maxian Cobb. Wekiva took over at the 20. That's the standard. If it's inside the 20, the line of scrimmage. And they have had the ball now for 1, 2, 3.
Flag on the play. Delay of game called against the Mustangs. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 3rd down.
And this is the 11th play that Wekiva's run. So this is really turned into a possession game, Mark.
Yep, so more dead ball yardage given up by Wekiva.
Yeah, talked about last week. We've talked about throughout the whole season. 22 penalties last week, 195 yards.
They're on track to do it again.
And Davis, radar, finds Gainey, who's still spinning, picks up another yard, maybe 2.
Tyree Davis to Tyrell Gainey for a Mustang first down. Ball is spotted in Tiger territory at the 39-yard line. 1st and 10 Mustangs.
First time Wekiva's been in Jones territory tonight as they pick up their fourth first down of this drive. And Davis lines them up again, one back set. Weathers, that back does not take the handoff, gets the fake. Davis weaving to the outside, and there's Laundry.
Tyree Davis on the carry, flag on the play.
Davis trying to thread his way along that right sideline, and Jones would have none of it. Again, Jones comes in. They play Duncanville, Texas. Gave up yards if you throw that out. Obviously the exception. They have given up 9 points per game.
Personal foul. Hit to the helmet is called against the Tigers. So that's a 15-yard penalty. And a Mustang first down. So finally, the yellow laundry works in the Mustangs' favor.
Yes, that's the first major significant mistake in terms of impact.
King, queen, is that okay?
By the Tigers, by Jones. And that'll move the ball all the way up to the 30-yard line. Actually, the 25, excuse me. That's Gay trying that left side. And it'll be a short gain as a horde of Tigers meet him.
Anthony Gay for the Mustangs.
And for those of you keeping stats, that penalty, Wekiva does get credit for 2 first downs.
A gain of 1 on the play. 2nd and 9 coming up for Wekiva on the 24-yard line. You see the pink ribbon on the field there, right at the 25-yard line in recognition of Breast Cancer Awareness Month here in the month of October.
So Davis, one back set again. That's Bennett in motion. He'll take the ball himself on the draw. And nothing doing. Try to wait for the play to develop, but Jones will not have any of it.
And now we've got a little bit of friction out of bounds here. The officials are able to get it under control before it gets out of hand. Bennett on the carry. No gain. 3rd and 9 coming up for Wekiva. So again, now that did not result in a penalty, fortunately for Wekiva and Jones as well. But again, that, you know, even those near miss situations, they frazzle emotions, they take focus away from the game, and that is not what Wekiva needs at this moment.
Yeah, and we'll mention it all night. Jones giving up 9 points to all the schools that are located in Florida, and their college commits certainly matched that 6 D1 commits on that Jones defense. And now this is Georges who's come in, the backup quarterback, and he's going to be rolled out of bounds.
Solomon Georges on the carry. Malik Bryant pushes him out of bounds. And it looks like he is well short of first down yardage. Gain of 2 on the play. It brings up 4th and 7.
Yeah,
so now...
Malik Bryant, who you just heard Mark get credit for that tackle pushing Georges out of bounds. He is the leader of this defense, number 0, a Miami commit.
So now the question is, do you go to Fritchley or Innocent, or do you go for it on 4th and 7?
Well, I don't think there's any hesitation. And I see Sincere Edwards, the defensive end turned offensive player, is also in. So some of the other guys, we'll get to those names after this play. 3rd and 7 now. Davis back under center out of the shotgun. Rolls right. Weathers blocking into the end zone. And knocked
Davis
down.
Intended for Gainey. The pass falls incomplete, which would turn the ball over on downs pending the outcome of the penalty marker.
Yeah, so also
pass interference is called against the Tiger defense. That'll be half the distance to the goal. So Wekiva catches a break there. I don't know. That didn't look particularly catchable to me.
Yeah, but give Davis credit, though, because he threw that ball up. He saw that there might be a possibility.
That puts the ball at the 11-yard line, and it's a Mustang first down. Keep in mind that in high school football, a pass interference penalty is not an automatic first down. However, in this case, it was enough to move the chains on its own.
Yeah, 14 yards, and as you heard Mark say, ball at the Wekiva 11, 7 minutes remaining. Jones had the ball for 18 plays, 8 minutes to start this game. Wekiva has now had it, I believe, for 16 plays. And since 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter, the handoff to Weathers finds the opening, slides through, and
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. And he has a pickup of 6 on the carry. 2nd and 4 coming up for Wekiva from the Tiger 5-yard line.
This will be the 16th play for Wekiva.
Weathers zigging, zagging, hits a wall, and he's not going anywhere. Terrell Weathers on the carry. Jamari Sands, among others, in on the stop. No gain on the play. 3rd and 4 coming up for Wekiva.
Yeah, so Wekiva does not have to get into the end zone to get the first down. They get to the 1.
But, I mean, if you go that far, why not take another step?
And especially if you got Weathers in there, the big all-everything running back, big, powerful guy. And as we mentioned, though, Weathers certainly can move the ball laterally as well as forward the pound and ground. So Davis lines his team up, both teams with an opportunity to get the first touchdown. Handoff, that's not Weathers. Straight ahead behind center. And the legs keep churning, although the whistles did. You could clearly hear the whistles.
Tyree Filius on the carry for the Mustangs. And if I've been keeping track correctly, that is his first touch tonight.
Yes, it is.
That play is whistled dead at the 2-yard line, and that'll bring up 4th and 1 for the Mustangs. 1 yard for the first down, 2 yards for the touchdown.
And a 3-yard gain. So Wekiva decides to go for the first down on 4th down. Jones went for the field goal and missed. And Philly is still in, and now Davis trying to run that right side, and he was pushed out of bounds.
Tyree Davis on the carry, short of the goal line. And the officials are signaling over on downs to the Tigers. You saw him dive for the sticks at the last possible second, but the officials are ruling that he was down at the 2.
Yeah, he was behind the line of scrimmage for most of that play. He didn't even try turning it up until he was about 6 inches from the right sideline. And Mark, you want to take a guess how many plays Wekiva just ran on that possession?
Was it 18?
18.
That's what I thought.
And guess what? There's 4:51. It's not exactly to the second, but within the 8-minute range. So both, the reason I bring that up.
Strike that. We are going to measure.
Okay, so I was going to say that both teams had the ball for 18 plays in roughly 8 minutes, but we'll have to hold off on that assessment, see what the measurement is.
And it is about 1 inch short of the stick, over on downs to the Tigers.
So if you joined us late, we have 4:51 remaining in the second quarter. No score. Jones and Wekiva, pivotal matchup for the wild card qualification indoor positioning in Class 3M Region 1.
And here we've
this
had
game, each team has had one possession. Jones got the first possession. Wekiva had the second possession. Both teams ran 18 plays and took up roughly 8 minutes of the clock without scoring.
Have we had the second quarter water break yet?
I do not believe we have, Mark.
All right.
And Jones will keep the ball on the ground. Short gain as they try the middle.
Yeah, I mean, this is dangerous space to be in. I mean, you're at risk of a safety when you're this close up against your own goal line.
A ball at the 3-yard line. And
a pickup of 2 on the carry, 2nd and 8 coming up for the Tigers. So, yeah, when you're that close up against your own goal line, it is common that you'll see teams run a little bit more conservative plays. The last thing you want to do is let a blitz through.
And they're going with the Wildcats. Saw that a number of times on the first possession.
Dylan Wade takes the direct snap.
Did Wade run the ball the first time?
That puts the ball out to the 8-yard line and brings up 3rd and 3. Under 4 minutes now remaining in the first half. Each team getting into the red zone and tasting the points.
And Wade on the Wildcat dumped right at that line of scrimmage. That pocket collapsed immediately.
Dylan Wade is taken down for a loss on the direct snap, loss of 2. And that'll bring up 4th and 4. So that's good news for the Mustangs to force the punt from that far back. Now, Neil, a statistics question for you here. If it's a Wildcat snap to someone who is not the quarterback and they go down for a loss, is that a sack?
I believe it still is a sack because somebody has to be the quarterback even if they're not formally the quarterback.
I would agree.
Somebody in this situation, the first responsibility of the quarterback is to field the snap. Somebody has to do that. So now out of the end zone, and they're
that's a pooch.
And okay, I do not see any flags.
Cobb on the punt, and it is down inside the Tiger red zone.
So Wekiva, the defense coming up big and the special teams following up.
I'm not sure, Neil. Did Cobb get a clean kick away there?
I don't think he did. And
now the Tigers are signaling that they have it.
So, to be honest, I thought there was going to be a penalty because it did not look like the punt was blocked. I do not see a flag on the field. There was a scramble, and now Jones does have the ball.
If you're watching it, we didn't hit the replay button on that one. If you're watching it on YouTube, you might want to shuttle back a few seconds.
And I'm saying Jones has the ball because I can see the first down markers being moved.
And apparently the reception of that blocked punt was
It's not a block.
Was recovered by the Mustangs at the 17-yard line after a rough handling on both the punt and the reception. It will put Wekiva in excellent field position, 1st and 10 from the Tiger 17.
2:47 remaining, no
So
score.
That was going to be really good news for somebody, and it turns out to be Wekiva.
So Wekiva will begin 1st and 10 at the Jones.
And we have now reached the midpoint, or more like the three-quarters point, of the second quarter, and so we'll pause for an official timeout.
Ball at the 16-yard line, no score, 2:47 remaining before halftime on homecoming.
Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids is a proud sponsor of Mustang football and Orange County Public Schools. With 3 convenient offices in Apopka, Orlando, and Windermere, it's never been easier to have a healthy new smile. With braces and aligners for all ages, plus dentistry for kids, exclusively in Apopka. We encourage you, if you're not already doing so, to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We are at Wekiva Sports on all 4 of those services. Make sure you like and subscribe for all of the latest Mustang news from right here in South Apopka. And we'd like to extend a special welcome to those of you watching us on Varsity Sports Network Orlando. Our thanks to Bobby, D, Ontavius, and the entire team at VSN for inviting us to share their airwaves week after week. As we go with a screen, and it's caught.
That's Gainey.
Tyrell Gainey has the outside catch for the Mustangs.
And actually, I think they lost a yard, Mark.
Yeah, it would have been better off to drop that one.
So
Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11.
clock continues to run on homecoming.
And remember, no 2-minute warning in high school football, although Wekiva still has all 3 of their timeouts remaining if clock management should become an issue as we approach halftime. I do have a sealed envelope in front of me, which I, being an honorable man, have not broken the seal on yet. It contains the name of this year's homecoming king and queen.
No score from, again, Baptiste Orthodontics Stadium, as you just heard Mark say, homecoming. So certainly would be nice as Weathers to take a lead in, as Weathers slices through that left side. We're now under 2 minutes.
Terrell Weathers on the carry.
And
George Brown in on the stop, and that's good for a gain of about 4 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 7.
from the 17, the 13. And we have a
The
timeout.
Mustangs request their first timeout of the first half. So with 1 minute, 40 seconds, we remain scoreless, and Wekiva looking at 3rd and 7 from the Tiger 12-yard line going into the break.
And we started this. And we started this broadcast talking about playoff implications, specifically wild card. Wekiva's got some work to do. They have not been mathematically eliminated from the wild card contention, but they do come in 7th in those standings. 4 teams are earn wild card positions after the 4 district champions. So Wekiva needs to jump over 3 teams, and they've yet to get a victory which would give them those points to really move over anybody, let alone 3. Talked about that as a signature victory. They're 4-4. They've defeated 4 teams that they were ranked ahead of, but the 4 teams they lost to were in front of them, and mistakes were really the critical reason. Jones does have some work to do, but they are in much better position than Wekiva. They can probably go 1-1 and still get into the playoffs. As of the start of this game, they were the number 2 wild card, which puts them as the 6th seed in Region 1 of Class 3M. We get back to work, 1:40 remaining, no score. Davis, direct snap, he'll run it himself, and he is hog-tied. Someone grabbed his jersey and spun him around as soon as he got to the line of scrimmage.
Tyree Davis on the carry. And he is stopped for a loss of 2 yards. Now bring up 4th and 8 for the Mustangs with $1:17 remaining in the first half. So now Wekiva, of course, they have a timeout. They have 2 more timeouts they can take if they want them.
As there's 1:05 remaining.
And it looks like they are bringing out Nathan Fritchley with the field goal unit. So this will be a
32-yard attempt. As we drop under 1 minute before halftime, ball down, kick up, and it's going to be way short. And off to the right, never had a chance. So
field goal attempt by Fritchley is short, and so we remain with donuts on the scoreboard. 0 minutes, 48 seconds remaining in the second quarter, and the Tigers will take over at their own 20-yard line. So we've gone an entire half with 3 possessions.
Actually, 4 possessions, 2 each.
Yes.
2 each.
And so...
And 2 missed field goals.
And 2 missed field goals.
And the one thing that is not even is Wekiva attempted on their first possession to convert a 4th and short into a first down at the 2-yard line.
In spite of all of this, let's see, we have seen 1 punt. It went very badly. And we've seen a couple of over-on downs. It's been a weird half, Neil.
Yeah, it has been weird in terms of the unusualness. But as we mentioned, it's been even in terms of both teams matching the results. And now Gene Denise is going to launch. And
up for grabs.
Yep, should have been an interception.
It should have.
Quite frankly.
Pass intended for Jalen Williams.
Jabari Smith.
Covered by Jabari Smith. And that'll bring up 2nd and 10. So the Tigers are not just going to take a knee. They're going to try to make things interesting here in the last 40 seconds.
And we mentioned very out of character there for Gene Denise just throwing that ball up for grabs. Mentioned he's only thrown 3 interceptions all year. And he's not a particularly proficient quarterback in terms of his completion percentage, only 46. But he does not make a lot of mistakes either, does not make the mistakes which puts his team in holes.
Here we go again. Again, waiting for time, looking to go long, and gets wrapped up. Sincere Edwards makes the sack against Gene Dennis.
The UCF commit certainly bringing some mojo to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, dumping Gene Denise.
And the Mustangs will request their 2nd timeout of the first half. It's an interesting choice to take a timeout at this particular juncture. Perhaps they reach the conclusion that the first half has not taken long enough yet.
And so talked during our last break about the wild card situation. Right now, by the way, Wharton has the number 1 seed, the top wild card seed. But the reason we're talking wild cards and not district championship is simply because Edgewater has defeated both Jones and Wekiva and thus eliminating up the championship contendership.
So, yeah, as you mentioned, Neil, Wekiva is right now kind of on the bubble, and they need to win their last 2 games, and they need a little help, but they certainly are not going to be hosting the first round of the playoffs. We know that for sure, but they have a chance to get in at least, but they will, again, they'll need to win their last 2 games. They'll need a little help.
As Gene Denise drops back, and he just got rid of that ball. Tremendous pressure by the defensive line.
Pass intended for number 2. That's Derek Rogers falling incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th and long for the Tigers.
And also give Wekiva's defense credit, even though Jones did drive that ball 18 plays inside the 10-yard line to open it. Jones, his 2 biggest weapons are Rogers, as you just mentioned, Derek Rogers and Jabari Smith. They've combined for 57 receptions, 847 yards, and they've been held receptionless through this first half.
So here, I'm guessing here, but here is what may be the crazy genius to Wekiva's strategy, taking that timeout. It puts 16 seconds on the clock. It forces Jones to punt. They already have 1 sour punt so far tonight, and Wekiva's, I'm guessing, hoping that they can either get, as we get a delay of game penalty, 5 yards from the previous spot, and now 4th and longer for the Tigers. So Wekiva here is hoping that they either get a blocked punt or a pooch punt or some other scenario, or perhaps a punt return for touchdown. Any number of weird things could happen in a game like this. And Wekiva figures, well, whatever happens, it's likely to go our way. So,
well, it's a situation you got nothing to lose if you're Wekiva. As that ball, took a big-time Jones bounce, and Gainey let it roll by him.
yeah, I think at that point, Wekiva's just as happy to let the clock run out. But nevertheless, it is down with 3 seconds left, so Wekiva will get one snap off before they head into the locker rooms and we head into homecoming festivities.
Yeah, and I'm going to actually leave the booth because I got to go down and take pictures. But, Mark, it is a beautiful night here for homecoming.
Yeah, crisp, a little bit cool, but not too.
On the cooler side in the mid-60s, not a cloud in the sky. And certainly given the way that
It's a lot better
games,
weather than when homecoming was supposed to be the first time, when the weather was trying to kill us all.
So a very close to the vest first half. Both teams ran 18 plays on their first possession. Were not able to score even though they took the ball inside, I believe, the 6-yard line as Davis takes the snap. And both missing field goals inside the 25-yard line. And when all is said and done, 0-0 as we now turn the mic over. You'll hear Mark, our public address announcer. It's homecoming at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium 2022.
Terrell Weathers takes a knee. That takes us to halftime, and we remain scoreless here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. 0-0 is the score after the first 24 minutes. And once again, if you are here to see our marching bands, well, you are going to see the marching band right now. They are going to come out and help us with our homecoming festivities. If you are here to see their marching show, well, just stick around after the game. But before we get to that, we have some business to conduct here. We have the presentation of our 2022 homecoming court, and I have a sealed envelope in front of me that I am about to break open and reveal the 2022 Wekiva High School homecoming king and queen. And now, we present your Wekiva High School 2022 Homecoming Court. Our king and queen candidates from the senior class. First, we have Mackenzie Eckert and Alexander Goby. Mackenzie plays softball, an active member of the weightlifting team and an active member of ROTC. She plans to attend college to dual major in law and early education with a minor in social work. Her favorite quote is "Thrive in chaos." She is escorted this evening by her mother, Michelle Eckert, her father, Robert Eckert, and her grandparents, James and Rose Eckert. Alexander Goby plays boys soccer, boys volleyball, and has been a member of the National Honor Society, Rho Kappa, and coaches little kids in basketball and gaming. He plans to become a mechanical engineer, an accountant, or pursue a professional career in the sports industry. His favorite quote is, "I can't change the world, but I can change your perception." Alexander is being escorted by his mother, Shirley Goby, cousin Victoria Goby, aunt Stephanie Goby, sister Uralis Goby, coach Kevin Glick, and cousin Giovanni Cosma. Next, we have Genesis Herbert and Genesis Ramirez Traverso. Genesis Herbert participates in Wekiva's junior ROTC as well as Wekiva's weightlifting team. Her plans after high school include joining the Navy and becoming an officer. Her favorite quote is, "No one is without worth. Whoever you are, whatever your mistakes, you are loved unconditionally." She is escorted by her mother, Sylvia Herbert. Genesis Ramirez Traverso is a wing commander, lieutenant colonel in the junior ROTC for Wekiva. They're also the engineering club vice president. Their plans after school are to enter flight school in order to study and become certified as an airline pilot. Their favorite quote is from JFK, "Those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly." They are escorted by a close friend, Jennifer Mondragon. Up next, we have Hannah Bursey and Derek Skeet. Derek could not be with us tonight, but we want to congratulate him on his nomination. Hannah participates in girls golf and is a part of the digital video technology program for Wekiva and Orange Technical College. Her plans after high school are to earn a degree in cosmetology. Her favorite quote, "Kindness is a language that the deaf can hear and the blind can see." She is joined tonight by her father, Louis Bursey, and friend, Omari Griffin. Next up is Maya Butler and Nathan Marchman. Maya plans on attending college for psychology after graduating Wekiva. Her favorite quote is by Nelson Mandela, "It always seems impossible until it's done." She is escorted this evening by her mother, Cherie Graham. Nathan has been a part of choir, culinary competition team, and the Wekiva Gaming Club. He plans to attend UCF to pursue a bachelor's degree in hospitality and management. And his favorite quote, "It is what it is." And finally, we have Cecilia Everly and Judah Myers. Cecilia is a stage manager for Wekiva's theater department and a member of the junior ROTC. Her plans after high school are to earn her Bachelor of Arts degree in Theater Arts and Technical Design, as well as work for professional theaters. Her favorite quote is from Charles Guillaume Etienne, if you want something done, do it for yourself." She is escorted this evening by her father, David Everly. Judah is a part of the culinary competition team, the Wekiva Drama Club, the National Art Honor Society, and the Wekiva Gaming Guild. His plans after high school are to attend the Savannah College of Art and Design, studying sequential arts and illustrations. His favorite quote is, "We need fantasy to survive." Once again, let's give it up for your Wekiva 2022 Senior Homecoming Court. And now it is time to break the seal on the envelope in front of me. Your Wekiva High School Homecoming 2022 King is Alexander Gobi. And joining Alexander as 2022 royalty, your Wekiva High School 2022 Homecoming Queen, Cecilia Eberly. Congratulations once again to Alexander, Cecilia, and the entire 2022 Homecoming Court. We're going to take a quick break here at Baptist Orthodontic Stadium. We'll be back in about 6 minutes with the second half. 0-0 is your score at halftime here on Week 9, Homecoming Night, Tigers versus Mustangs. So as the clock expires on what would have been the regular halftime interval, we'll put 3 minutes back up there. That is the official warm-up for the second half. If you're not familiar with the timing practices, you do 17 minutes for the bands to perform, or in this case, for homecoming festivities, and then 3 minutes are reserved for the players to warm up. And as we get ready to come back to live action at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, just a quick recap of the playoff picture as things stand for Wekiva and Jones right now. The FHSAA switched several years ago to using what most people refer to as power rankings, or RPI, Ratings Points Index, rather than the traditional bracketed system where the champion of one district would play the runner-up of the neighboring district. That system was widely criticized because 2 teams were guaranteed to make the playoffs from every district, even if they didn't have 2 strong teams. Meanwhile, another district may have 3 or 4 really strong teams, but 2 of them were going to get excluded. And so the new system attempts to address that inequity, which, by the way, Wekiva was on the short end of that stick several times when they used to be in the same district with Apopka, Evans, and West Orange. And so the new system attempts to address that such that in the metro level classifications, the district champion is guaranteed a berth in the playoffs. They will take the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 slots according to their Ratings Points Index or their power ranking, and they will get at least their first game at home. Then the 5, 6, 7, and 8 slots in the bracket are taken at large from the entire 4-district complex, which the FHSAA refers to as a region. And so 4 schools are district champions, 4 schools are non-champions who are wild cards. And so the next 4 highest power ranked schools who were not champions become 5, 6, 7, and 8 in that order. Now, up until a couple of years ago, the FHSAA had their own formula for RPI that took a weighted formula of your own record, and then a lesser weight to your opponent's record, and an even lesser weight to your opponent's records, and then some bonus modifiers put in there for playing schools that had been in the playoffs in the last 2 years. Then a couple of years ago, they switched to using the Max Preps power rankings system, which is a proprietary formula that is not precisely known to anyone who doesn't work for Max Preps, but it generally works the same way, that it puts a very strong emphasis on your own record, a medium emphasis on your strength of schedule through your opponent's records and your opponent's records. One thing that the FHSAA modifies about that formula, though, is that they do not consider margin of victory at all in the equation. So it does not matter whether you win by 1 point or 100 points. That is completely removed from the formula, but otherwise the regular Max Preps formula remains. And so right now, Wekiva is essentially on the bubble. Wekiva has, at this point, it is a lost cause for them to be a district champion. So we know that they will not be the 1, 2, 3, or 4 seed, and we know that they will not have an opportunity to host, at least in the first round. However, they do still have an opportunity to get into the playoffs as a wild card, perhaps as a 7 or 8 seed. They would require, of course, to win their last 2 games, which would do great wonders for them, especially against teams that are ranked as highly as Jones and Apopka, who each have very strong schedules themselves. And they would also need a little bit of help from other schools who are on the bubble. So again, Wekiva still has a plausible path to being in the playoffs. Jones has probably a little bit easier path to being in the playoffs. They could lose tonight, and as long as they win the rest of their schedule, they could still make the playoffs. But we'll see. So now, of course, Jones won the toss at the beginning of the half and elected to receive. So now Wekiva will get the first offensive possession of the second half, and we are underway here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, and it wouldn't be the first play of the half if we didn't have a penalty marker. Holding is called against the Mustang receiving team That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Mustangs. So again, if you were not joining us for halftime, we want to congratulate again Alexander Goby and Cecilia Eberly, our two nominees to Homecoming Royalty, the King and Queen for 2022. Of course, the dance will be tomorrow night here at Wekiva. All these festivities moved from that hurricane weekend that we had at the end of September. Weather much nicer tonight as Wekiva is going to be pinned deep in their own territory after the holding call. And it's fumbled. It's fumbled and recovered by the Tigers, and they are into the end zone. Jamari Sands recovers a Mustang fumble and runs into the end zone for a Tiger touchdown. Still waiting for our first offensive touchdown of the night, but the Tigers will take it any way they can get it. Cobb's kick is up. Looked like Wekiva might have touched it. And Cobb's PAT is no good. So the score remains 6-0 with 11 minutes 40 seconds remaining in the third quarter. An exciting return for the Mustangs. Joshua Bennett on the kickoff return for Wekiva gets the ball nearly to midfield. And the ball is spotted at the 45-yard line. Wekiva takes over from there with 1st and 10. So, silver lining, Wekiva starts with better field position than they had the first time. And apologies if we go quiet after a score. It's because whenever there's a score, we always want to tweet an update as well for those who are following text on Twitter at Wekiva Sports. Neil is still down on the field taking photos, so I will be your host. My name is Mark Barchi, voice of the Mustangs and Sports Information Director here at Wekiva. Neil will be joining me again in just a few moments. Tyree Phileas on the carry for Wekiva. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up from the 45-yard line. So we mentioned in the first half and really all season long how much penalties have been a thorn in the side of the Mustangs. And they have gotten away with it on some of the games where they have faced maybe opponents who were average to good, but in games against great opponents like Edgewater and Jones, and coming up in a couple of weeks, Apopka, they can be deadly. And certainly that penalty, the holding call on the kickoff, set up the Tigers with a short field needed to return. I mean, the fumble was a fumble, and that was always going to be bad news, but the fact that it occurred inside the 20-yard line allowed the Tigers to score unchallenged and didn't even give the defense an opportunity to get on the field. Pick up a 5 on the carry for the Mustangs. It brings up 3rd and 5 from midfield. The Mustangs 4 and 4, looking to improve above 500. A low snap is handled. Davis looking for an option. Back and forth, and then finally plows into the Tiger defensive line. Davis on the QB keep for a gain of 2. That brings up 4th and 3 for the Mustangs. So, rational playbook would call for a punt here. But with 4th and 3 and the Mustangs desperate to shift the momentum back in their favor, it would not completely surprise me if they go for it. And it looks like they're going to do just that. Snap to Davis. He's got time. Ultimately has to run it himself. He's close to first down yardage, but is taken down. Tyree Davis on the carry for the Mustangs. Nearly had first down yardage, but is taken down by George Brown of the Tiger defense. Short of first down yardage, over on downs to the Tigers. And the student section was not fond of that play. Or at least of its outcome. So the Tigers take over now. They'll get their first offensive snap of the second half here with 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. In trouble, getting rid of it just in time, and it's pulled in. Pass is complete to Derek Rogers for a big gain. That puts the Tigers down into Mustang territory. Ball spotted at the 25-yard line. And so Rogers there left kind of uncovered by the Mustangs secondary. Now we're going to get the handoff to Parker, who gets what I believe is his first touch of the day. Jerian Parker on the carry. He has a gain of 10 and change. That puts the ball at the 14-yard line. Another first down for the Tigers. And now the Tigers trying to go no huddle and maybe going a little too fast. False start called against the Tiger offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of first down. It'll now be 1st and 15 from the 19-yard line. Tigers trying to take advantage of the momentum that they'd had from 2 consecutive first downs. Catch the Mustang defense off guard. And they were going no huddle. The problem is that they confused their own timing more than they confused Wekiva's. Max and Gene Dennis on the carry. Shaw on the stop for the Mustangs, a loss of 2 on the play. 2nd and 12 coming up from the 16. Excuse me, Watkins on the stop. Going for the corner. Open man, well covered by the Mustangs. Pass intended for Derek Rogers is broken up by Jabari Smith. And that brings up 3rd and 12 for the Tigers. So the Mustang defense is getting it done. They certainly did the first couple of times that the Tigers were knocking on the door. We'll see if they can do it a 3rd time here in the 3rd quarter. And the only points scored so far have been on defense. Gene Dennis looking for Williams there. The pass is underthrown and incomplete. And that brings up 4th and 12 for the Tigers. So far, both teams tonight have been struggling in the kicking department. Jones has a missed field goal and a muffed punt. Wekiva has a missed extra point. Or excuse me, I said that backwards. Both teams have a missed field goal, and Jones has the missed extra point. So curious whether they will bet the chalk here. And they are bringing out the place kicker, but they can't do it fast enough. Timeout Tigers. Jones requests their first timeout of the 3rd quarter. Back with more from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. 6-0 Tigers with 7:11 remaining in the 3rd. Dr. Elizabeth Davis with Orlando Health Jewett Orthopedic Institute is honored to be the team physician for Wekiva High School. On the field and off, they provide a full spectrum of orthopedic services in a multitude of specialties and subspecialties. From hip, knee, and shoulder experts to orthopedic, traumatology, and more, offering proven, leading-edge techniques and technologies, Orlando Health Jewett Orthopedic Institute provides patients with world-class personalized care from a number of convenient locations throughout Central Florida. Learn more at orlandohealth.com/sports. Orlando Health. Choose well. We're back to live action here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Tigers are set for a field goal. This is Maxion Cobb attempting from 34 yards. It's up. It has the distance. No good. Cobb's kick is wide left and no good. And the score remains 6-0 with 7 minutes and change remaining in the 3rd quarter. So now 2 missed field goals for the Tigers, as well as the PAT. And the Mustangs still have an opportunity here with a touchdown and a PAT that they could take the lead on this possession. We'll see if the second half proves to be anything like the first half in terms of length of drive, but again, we saw back-to-back 18-play possessions in the first half. Here's the snap, handoff, going to Bennett. He's got some extra room after he picks up a block. Joshua Bennett on the carry. Stop is made by Jamari Sands for a short gain. And again, a little bit of friction there at the sideline. Sands handling Bennett a little bit rough there. Not enough to draw a penalty marker, but certainly we hope to see emotions not flaring quite as much. I know they do indeed draw the penalty marker.
This is one of the worst games I've seen in a long time.
Penalty marker is thrown on the Tigers. It's 15-yard penalty from the end of the previous play and a Mustang first down. Tyree Phileas on the carry, and he is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Second and 10 coming up for Wekiva. Pass complete from Davis to Bennett. Bennett makes the catch at the line of scrimmage. Or perhaps 1 yard past it. And that brings up 3rd and 9 for the Mustangs from their own 38-yard line. Turn up the shotgun mic here and let you hear from our drum line. Tyree Davis on the QB keep. Stop is made by Jacob Thornton. Gain of 3 on the play, and that brings up 4th and 6. And the Mustangs will punt this one away. Putnam on the punt. And a big return for Jamari Sands. Big return. Jamari Sands has his second score of the night on a 75-yard return. However, there is a flag on the play. Personal foul called against the Tiger receiving team. That touchdown will come back. So, as much as we've been ragging on the Mustangs for racking up penalties that cost them points, the Tigers join in on the fun here and pick up a personal foul of their own. The official signal after the personal foul one is one that I don't recognize. I believe that was for illegal fist bumping. But nevertheless, a 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So instead of a kickoff return for touchdown, which, by the way, had it stood, would still not have been an offensive score. So we would still be waiting for an offensive score from either team. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. That score comes back. And we are now looking at 1st and 10 for the Tigers from their own 23-yard line. So that is a much better scenario than what the Tigers could have ended up with from the Mustangs' perspective. A last-ditch pass going down for the sack. He says no. Gene Dennis gets the pass off, and it is complete. And we've got a fracas at the end of the play. Pass is caught by Wade, and a flag on the play at the end of the run. And And so now the officials will confer here on what exactly happened and what the penalty will be. Of course, the play as it concluded would be very good news for Jones. And it seems that the completion is going to stand no matter what happens. Personal foul is called against the Mustangs. So in addition to the pass completion, that will also be half the distance to the goal. And it is now 1st and goal, Tigers from the Mustang 5-yard line. So the penalty turns out to only actually be worth 5 yards, although it does add a bit of insult to injury to the end of that play. Snap, direct snap to Wade, goes straight to the middle. Direct snap to Wade, and he is up the middle for a short gain, short of the goal line. Actually, no gain, so 2nd and goal from the 5. Oh. Strike that, a gain of 4, puts the ball at the 1-yard line. Wade again takes the direct snap. Wade on the carry, and again the Mustang line makes the stop. 3rd and goal now from the 1. Timeout, Mustang. Excuse me, timeout, Tigers. No, the Mustangs called the timeout, so that will be their first timeout of the second half. For those of you here in the stadium, we'd like to remind you that while we normally tell you at this point to call your ride and make sure that they're on their way to pick you up immediately after the conclusion of the game, we still want you to call your ride and have them ready to come and get you, but we do encourage you to stick around for a few minutes after the game so that you can take in our halftime entertainment that was preempted tonight. We will have the marching band take the field right after the conclusion of tonight's game. We also remind you to mark your calendars. Coming up in 2 weeks, Wekiva is off next week, but coming up in 2 weeks, we have senior night as the Mustangs host our crosstown rivals from Popka High School. That'll be right here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium coming up in November. All right, so back to live action. 3rd and goal from the 1. Mustangs will try to make the stand again. Again, the handoff is to Wade, and this time he has it. Dylan Wade is into the end zone for a 1-yard Jones touchdown. And we'll pause for an injury timeout. Cobb so far has not had a lot of luck kicking. This time they'll go for the 2-point conversion. It's close. Jarian Parker has the 2-point conversion. So the Tigers finally put offensive points on the board. Almost 34 minutes into tonight's ball game. Mustangs still looking for the end zone with 2 minutes, 27 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
What's that?
Here's the kick from Cobb. And this one's going right up the middle. It's handled at about the 12-yard line by Bennett. Bennett finds a little extra room, picks up a couple of good blocks, finally steps out of bounds. And that is Joshua Bennett on the return. And we have multiple late flags on the play.
Andre, get the white hat. He's right there.
After the play. Personal foul called against the Tigers and against the Mustangs. Those penalties will offset, and the ball remains right where it was. So as we get into the late third quarter here, I'll ask our broadcast production director, Mr. Keith Dickerson, who runs the digital video program here at Wekiva, to join me on the broadcast and let you know who is bringing you tonight's coverage.
Yeah, 1 second, actually. I'm yelling at them on the other headset.
Ah, of course. So Mr. Dickerson is wearing both the A channel and B channel headsets right now for both production and instructing the videography team. No gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up for Wekiva.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I've got Rojan Nazaire here tonight. We've got Andre Alacock, and we've got Ernaya Albert. So,
well, as always, we want to thank you and your team for bringing us the video aspects of tonight's game. And here we're going to get Tyree Davis on the carry and a tackle for loss. Stop is made by McCray. And, of course, Wekiva TV Broadcast Production has been partnering with us for several years. We were doing live streaming before it was cool. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and it became more important than ever, as many of our fans were not able to join us. Now we are delighted to be back to having pretty much full-size crowds, but we still love to bring you this coverage on Varsity Sports Network and our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports, which, by the way, just eclipsed 2,000 subscribers. We're very grateful for all of you who have done that. And if you are not one of those 2,000 subscribers, we invite you to become one of them with that little red button you see right below your video.
yeah, big milestone. Definitely made a lot of progress in the last few years. So thank you guys for supporting us and everything.
Got a good screen to Weathers, and he's got some room. Terrell Weathers on the screen catch, and he has about 10 more yards after the catch for a Mustang first down. That spots the ball at the 49-yard line. The Mustangs almost into Tiger territory. Oh, look, the band is back. The band normally takes the third quarter off, but since we're almost to the fourth quarter, they were there to play the fight song Sting.
We've kind of flipped the tables this evening on everything, so.
Tyree Davis on the last play of the third quarter for no gain, and we will have to move the ball a whole 2 yards to get it to the other side of the field. That takes us to the end of the third quarter. Tigers lead the Mustangs 14-0 with 12 minutes left in our homecoming night contest here on Week 9 from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium here in South Apopka. Those of you in the stadium, we want to remind you we are live streaming tonight's game on YouTube as well as Varsity Sports Network Orlando. If you have friends and family who'd like to catch the end of tonight's game, or if you'd like to go back and watch that homecoming ceremony again, you can certainly do that. It'll remain available for on-demand replay on our YouTube channel, Wekiva Sports.
Yeah, and speaking of that, kind of behind-the-scenes baseball, Mr. Chavez and Mr. McGuire called me. They said thank you for doing everything for him. So
it is my pleasure. I noticed that you slipped a few stage directions into the script to see if I would read them. I managed to stealthily slide by them.
Believe it or not, people forget the announcer, it seems, in the last few years. So I'm like, what can I do to help?
There's a lot of things we just assume magically happen. They actually take a fair amount of planning. That's Terrell Weathers on the carry, and that's worth a gain of 5 yards. It brings the ball up to the 46-yard line of Tiger territory. 3rd and 5. So Wekiva sticking to a fairly traditional offense here. So far, with the exception of that one long catch that had the penalty appended onto it, both teams have been pretty successful at making red zone stops. So we'll see. First, Wekiva has to get to the red zone. Weathers again on the carry around the outside corner, picks up about 2 yards. And it's 4th and a short 3 for the Mustangs. So at this point, I have to believe that Wekiva just goes for it. It's too far to kick the field goal. If this were the NFL, you would probably expect a punt here, but when you're in the 4th quarter and down 2 scores, you're only going to get so many more chances on offense. Handoff to Bennett. Bennett chased down. Offensive line collapses. And it's a TFL. Bennett on the carry is stopped by the Tigers' Drake Hollinger for a loss, and that will turn the ball over on downs to the Tigers. So that was the right idea by Bennett, but unfortunately for Wekiva, the offensive line just broke down, and Bennett couldn't outrun them all. Tigers start from their own 48-yard line, 1st and 10. Pass is thrown ahead of the intended receiver, but he gets there anyway. Derek Rogers makes the catch. Omar Hayes on the stop. Gain of 5 for the Tigers. 2nd and 5 coming up from the Mustang 47-yard line. Jerian Parker takes the handoff and is close to 1st down yardage, and indeed has a 1st down. Gain of 5 on the play. 1st and 10 Tigers from the Mustang 42.
Quick shout out. We got some alumni in the chat. Frosty from one of the Dakotas is watching us, so hi, Frosty.
If he's in the Dakotas, then he is Frosty.
Tamarion Foster, I guess, to be correct here.
Yes, of notable Wekiva fame.
Waiting on him to get a Green Bay jersey, so.
Lots and lots of time. Gene Dennis airs it out. Pass intended for Jalen Williams falls incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd and 10. Laundry. Line on the play. False start called against the Tiger offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of 2nd down. go. Jarian Parker on the carry for the Tigers. Takes the ball out to the 31-yard line. It is enough for a Tiger first down. So I want to welcome Neil Fisher back to the broadcast. He's been away since halftime, taking homecoming pictures and game photos.
So 8.5 minutes remaining, 14-0. Jones still with the lead. They have not trailed today. A 2-yard gain, so 2nd and 8 now for Jones. Wekiva 29, and certainly you feel that air, what little bit of, well maybe not little bit, but what opportunity Wekiva has to come back.
Flag on the play, false start called against the Tigers, 5 more yards to the previous spot, and a replay of 2nd down. So now the Tigers have committed back-to-back penalties on as many first downs. Not a particularly clean game by either team tonight. Definitely a lot to work on between now. Well, of course, Wekiva will have 2 weeks before their next game, and they face Apopka to wrap up the season.
So Gene Denise lines them up. 2 receivers near sideline, drops back, going for the final blow. And a little too long.
Pass intended for Derek Rogers. Ball's incomplete. Justin Hutchinson had the coverage for the Mustangs. Of course, Hutchinson is listed on the roster as a wide receiver himself, playing the safety cornerback kind of role there. Yeah. That's pretty common. You see that in high school, that if you know how to catch the ball, you also know how to stop other people from catching it.
Well, when the season started, Mark, he was supposed to be the wide receiver, and he was switched over to, again, he does play some wide receiver, but now his primary position is on defense. So once again, Jones, who goes as many as 5 receivers, so use 4 this time. Gene Denise steps up, and there's a flag. That ball was short.
Pass intended for Wade. Ball's incomplete. Putman on the coverage. Flag on the play. We had an officials conference here to figure out what happened. There was some contact. From my vantage point up here in the press box, it looked like a clean play on the ball, but obviously the officials are a lot closer to it than I am. Here's the call.
Yeah, so it's against Jones.
Pass interference is called against the Mustang defense. Ineligible man downfield called against the Jones offense. And so those penalties offset.
Okay, and the ball remains at the 34-yard line. And 3rd and 13. .720 remaining. Wekiva down 14-0 to Jones, who has the ball. And straight blitz by Watkins. And does not get the sack, but certainly causes Gene Denise to throw the ball earlier than he would have liked to and off his back foot.
Gene Dennis is hurried by Watkins. And the pass falls incomplete. It brings up 4th and 13 for the Tigers. So again, I mean, for whatever criticisms we may have of both of these teams, you got to give it to the defense. I mean, Jones has knocked on the door, and this is not a team to be taken lightly. As you mentioned earlier in the program, Neil, Jones is explosive on offense. They average 30 points a game, And the defense has been largely effective here. Remember that one of those 2 touchdowns was not offensive.
Yeah, it was a fumble return for a touchdown, and that's going to be a first down.
As soon as I said that, the pass is complete to Derek Rogers, and that is enough for a Tiger first down. The ball spotted at the 18-yard line, 1st and 10, Jones.
So that's a 16-yard pickup, and critical, as Mark just mentioned, because it's a first down, and now with only 7 minutes remaining, that's going to take some more time off the clock. Wekiva needs to get that ball back, in addition to coming up with a stop here, as Jones has methodically moved this ball back down the field. Denise drops back, the short pass, got some yardage for Wade, and
Dylan Wade makes the catch, and a few yards afterward, that will bring the ball down to the 10-yard line for a gain of 8. And that brings up 2nd and 2 for the Tigers. So, yeah, Neil, I mean, at this point, as far as we can tell, kicking has not been effective, really for either team, but particularly for Jones. So I don't know that we're necessarily worried about a field goal making it a 3-score game, but certainly if Wekiva falls down by 3 scores here with 6 minutes left in the game, that is a very tall mountain to climb.
And certainly that'll help.
And we've got
if
a flag.
It stands. Wade dumped at the line of scrimmage.
Wade on the carry, Watkins on the stop, flag on the play.
So all kinds of information. And yeah, that's going to be against Jones.
Personal foul is called against the Tigers. It's a 15-yard penalty from spot of the foul. So Wekiva needed that. And I have not been keeping track of the penalty yardage tonight, but I know it is high for both teams.
Yeah. This is actually the 4th penalty of this possession by Jones. They got away with 1. You can look at that viewpoint. It was offsetting penalties. You say Wekiva got away with the 2. So the ball is at the
29-yard line is the spot of the ball. It'll be 3rd and about 20. And we have reached the midpoint of the 4th quarter, so we'll pause for our last official timeout.
And by the way, Dylan Wade, it was a rush for -4 yards.
Once again, we'd like to thank Dr. Andre Baptiste and his entire team at Baptiste Orthodontics with 3 convenient locations here in Central Florida, Apopka, Orlando, and Windermere, offering braces and aligners for all ages. And Dr. Baptiste is a very proud supporter of Orange County Public Schools, and in particular, our home here at Wekiva High School. We'd like to remind those of you here in the stadium that if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game and you've not already done so, give them a call, let them know that we are headed into the last 6 minutes of the 4th quarter. We do invite you to stick around and watch the band perform their halftime show after the conclusion of tonight's game. However, then we will be ready to wrap things up and close the facility as quickly as possible once that is over, so that our administrators can get home to their families. We appreciate your cooperation. So, 3rd and long coming up for the Tigers.
Wekiva absolutely needing a stop. Trailing 14-0, 6 minutes remaining in this game. Playoff implications, in particular the wild card. As Parker takes it, and he's slammed down to the ground behind the line of scrimmage. So Wekiva comes up with the stop. But again, that 16-yard pass completion gave him a new set of down. Took about 2.5 more minutes off the clock.
Jerry and Parker on the carry. Kadar Karjal has the stop for no gain, and it brings up 4th and 20 for the Tigers. So honestly, Neil, I don't know what you do in this situation. It's 4th and 20. If this were the NFL, you'd kick the field goal here.
Yeah, obviously.
Of course.
Well, it looks like Coach Williams is not hesitating either. Of course, we saw Coach Schwartz had the same situation towards the end of the second quarter. Neither coach hesitating. So, by the way, Elijah Williams, name sounds familiar. He should. former University of Florida Gator about 25 years ago in the late 90s.
Flag on the play. Delay of game is called against the Tiger offense. That'll be a 5-yard penalty.
And Coach Williams has been at...
Strike that. The flag is waved off, and it is timeout Tigers.
Coach Jones has been, Coach Williams has been at Jones for over a decade now. The former Florida Gator, played for several years in the NFL too. So it's been defense as we expected. Everybody likes to talk about Jones' offense. One of those schools that does a lot of unusual stuff, gets away from the conservatism. So they're often thought of first as a offensive power, but it's their defense which has carried them to the 5-2 record and the number 8 ranking in the FHSAA Class 3M standings, as well as the number 2 wild card seed. And that's exactly what you expected. Wekiva, for their part, came in giving up only 12 points themselves. And that's pretty much what we've seen tonight, as Gene Denise now rolls right, and he's going to go down from behind, give Edwards a sack with 5 minutes remaining. Wekiva still setting themselves up.
Gene Dennis goes down for the sack, courtesy of Sincere Edwards with some help from Davion Watkins.
Exactly 5 minutes remaining, and
it'll be a loss on the play. Take the ball all the way back to the 35-yard line. Wekiva takes over on downs from there with 1st and 10. So obviously Wekiva still has a tall hill to climb, but maybe not as tall as it could have been. Certainly a 3-score game, it's difficult to imagine a scenario where Wekiva could have come back from that. A 2-score game, I mean, the pace is going to have to pick up pretty significantly from where it was in the first half. Although we have seen Wekiva do that before, we know they are capable of that. And with a successful onside kick, anything is possible. We'll see how it plays out.
So from the 36, Davis drops back. Looks like he wants to go deep. And now Jones returns the favor as they dump Davis for more than a 10-yard loss as well.
Davis is sacked on the play. The sack is made there by Corey Andrews. That pulls the ball back to the 20-yard line for a loss of 16 on the sack.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that if you're Davis, at that point, eat it. I mean, he had nothing in the secondary, and the offensive line had completely collapsed.
Yeah, I think that's also a situation, if that's the first half, he's probably eating it, like you said, Mark. We're getting down to the final stages here, 4 minutes remaining. He's trying to make something happen. So Davis lines up the Mustangs again, 1 back set, 2 receivers each side. Better coverage this time. He'll step up, roll right, and he's going to carry it himself. Long way to go. And still on his feet as he hops, skips, avoids a couple of tackles, but again, down by 2 touchdowns and needing 26 yards for the first down. 2 yards are relatively minor.
Davis on the QB keeper. Elise with the tackle, and that takes the ball up to the 26-yard line. And it brings up 3rd and 20.
And we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, Mark, this is a game with playoff implication. Both these teams in District 3M3, but neither can win the district, so they're looking for the wild card. Jones securely in as of now. The number 2 seed, Wekiva, the number 7.
Davis has all day, but has nothing in the secondary. He has to run it again himself. He gets a good 12 yards out of it. That's still not enough. As Davis on the QB keeper. And Bryant in on the stop. Is worth a gain of about 12 yards. Make it 13. That takes the ball up to the 39-yard line and brings up 4th and 7 for Wekiva. So Wekiva obviously in 4-down territory at this point.
Yeah, and there's where that sack and that extra yardage that Davis lost after the initial collapse, I guess you could call it, comes into play. He probably wouldn't have had a first down, but you're looking at maybe 4th and 1, maybe 2.
Well, and credit to the Jones secondary, though.
Yeah,
because
2:20 remaining, 14-0 deficit.
Tyree Davis had all day long and half the night and wasn't able to find anything in the secondary. And
now a low snap. Davis picks up the ball, keeps his cool, finds Bennett over the middle, and Bennett doing some skipping and hopping, and he'll pick up a couple extra yards. Of course, what's important is he caught the ball.
Davis completes to Bennett, and it is across midfield into Tiger territory for the Mustang. First down.
And the clock will stop momentarily with 2 minutes remaining.
We've seen that signature connection before. Bennett, of course, is one of those all-purpose. Sometimes he's a running back. Sometimes he's a short. I call him the narrow receiver, not a wide receiver.
Over the middle.
Yeah, he catches those sidearm slings.
So now Wekiva is in that desperation territory. There's a clock under 2 minutes. And that's Weathers. Nope, Gay, he's going to go into the end zone. Score the touchdown.
Anthony Gay, 45 yards into the end zone for Mustang. Touchdown.
And Wekiva is not quite done yet. 1:29 remaining. So 14-6. And Wekiva's going to go for the 1 point, cut it down to a 7-point deficit. A simple screen. Gay doing some illusion and illusion. And now Fritchley in with 1:29 remaining. High snap, ball down, kick up though, and good. And so 14-7 with 1:29 remaining from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium in this critical playoff, in this critical game as far as the playoffs.
Fritchley's try is good. That cuts the Tiger lead to 14-7 with 89 seconds remaining in the ball game.
So Wekiva picks up the first down, converts that 4th down, a completion to Bennett, keeps that drive alive, and then Davis finds Gay on a simple screen pass, and Gay does the rest. It was about a 3-yard completion. 42 yards the rest of the way. Gay hopping and skipping and avoiding the tackles. And Wekiva's still with an opportunity with 1:29 remaining. Of course, they're going to have to get the onside kick. So Fritchley lines them up.
Each team has used one timeout, so Wekiva can stop the clock twice.
It's a balanced set, 5 on each side, and didn't even go 10 yards, and that was number 6.
That was 5.
5, Jabari Smith.
Justin Hutchinson has, that was number 5. That's Jabari Smith on the reception for the Tigers, and they will take over at the Mustang 49-yard line. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good-looking onside kick,
well, as far
Jabari
as
Smith was in the right place at the right time.
Well, it was good looking in terms of the movement. The ball rolled end over end like it's supposed to, but there was no oomph behind it. It didn't go 10 yards.
Right. Well, I mean, it would have, but not. But of course, only the kicking team has to wait for it to go 10 yards. The receiving team does not.
So now Jones needs a first down, and they will walk off the field a victor. And obviously nothing doing there, as that was Gillens.
Bell on the carry, and a loss of 2 on the play. The Mustangs will take their second timeout of the second half. Minute 21 remaining. Once again, don't go anywhere after the conclusion of tonight's game, and we will carry this on our live stream as well In addition to having it for our fans here in the stands, we will keep the live stream going and let you enjoy the Marching Tigers and the Marching Mustangs right after the conclusion of tonight's game.
(14-7) the score. Jones has led. They have never trailed. 0-0 at halftime. A fumble return for 10 yards on the second play from scrimmage. And then Jones took over with about 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter at their own 23. And a 72-yard pass set them up for that second touchdown. And Wekiva will take their last timeout. And there it is. So now you have to come up with one more stop if you're Wekiva. Don't commit a penalty. Don't commit any mistakes.
Loss of 4 on the play. That'll bring up 3rd and 15 for the Tigers, and the Mustangs will spend their final timeout.
So when I say the mistakes, obviously on this third down play, but also if you do stop them on third down on the punt, and you'll have to go most of the field.
I mean, keep in mind, Wekiva has... I'm going to have to go back and watch the replay. I don't know whether we actually got a piece of that punt or whether it was simply muffed, but
yeah,
Wekiva has had success, and even on the other punt that was more successful, I saw Wekiva get really close in there. So Wekiva has been having a relatively good night on the receiving end of those special teams plays. So if they can force that punt to happen, again, it is still a long shot, but it is a shot.
Snap out of the shotgun. Gillians takes it to the left. He's got some room to operate. And so much for the game. That's going to be a touchdown. And all that planning and scheming goes for naught.
Jaden Gillians takes off and goes
55
yards into the end zone for a Tiger touchdown.
And give credit to the offensive line of Jones. They sealed that left side, and Gillians had all kinds of room to operate. As a matter of fact, if you were waiting for a bus, you would have had lots of times, could have taken the whole bus route and then come back. So that will make the score 20-7, 104 left. And Cobb comes in to attempt the PAT. And this time he is good.
The try by Cobb is good, and that extends the Tiger lead to 21-7 with 1:04 remaining in the fourth quarter. So Cobb at least gets to end the night on a positive note. He's had some challenges so far tonight, but the last thing that he does is successful.
And Mark, unfortunately, the plot continues. We have not seen a change. Wekiva was competitive, 0-0 going into halftime, but in the end, they're going to lose to a team ranked higher to them. One of those teams that you need to beat to get that signature victory, being outscored 21-7 in the second half. Just a half dozen or plays going Jones's way. So the kickoff, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the 20. And of course, the big picture, Mark, is Wekiva is going to be eliminated from the playoff contention, getting a wild card. And they will drop to 4-5.
They will, however, still have an opportunity to end the season on a high note if they could take down their arch rival, the Apopka Blue Darters, the crosstown rivalry matchup that officially is called the Mayor's Cup, and we informally like to call it the Tater Bowl. That takes place to end each season. It alternates between Wekiva and Apopka each year. This year it is at Wekiva, and that will also be senior night. So that's coming up in 2 weeks, and Wekiva will have an opportunity to get back to a 500 record and to end the season on a win, which certainly would build some momentum for them going into the off season. And now we're going to get I believe that was a delay of game penalty. Delay of game, 5 yards, replay, a first down. Minute 4 remaining. Wekiva is going to try to at least not go quietly into that good night.
So we now officially drop under a minute. And it will be 2nd and 7 from the 25.
Pass is complete to Gainey for a gain of 10.
And Davis throws that one
Second
out.
pass is thrown away, and that'll bring up 3rd and 5 for the Mustangs from their own 25-yard line. Again, you got to give credit to the Jones secondary. I mean, they have frustrated Davis all night.
Yeah, and mentioned earlier, Davis came in off of his career high, 268 yards last week against Horizon.
I mean, the O-line has been kind of on again, off again. Sometimes they give Davis a lot of time, and other times they don't. But even when he does have a lot of time, like the going downfield has just not been an option.
Bennett, and Bennett with a stop-and-go move didn't really gain anything, but was interesting to watch.
Pass complete to Joshua Bennett. That's good for the first down. Puts the ball at the 41-yard line.
So 16-yard gain.
So at least we get some good stats in the book before we wrap things up tonight.
On homecoming, and Mark mentioned it, stick around. The Wekiva Marching Mustangs, the band, they will perform. Of course, they did not perform at halftime because tonight is homecoming.
And I see Jones lined up over there, so I believe they are going to take the field first, and then Wekiva will come on second.
So 12 seconds remaining.
No, we reset the clock to 20.
Okay, so that was intentional. It was not a mistake. The quick pass to Gay, and he stumbles out of bounds.
Pass is complete to Anthony Gay, and that is good for a gain of about a yard.
And is Wekiva going to be able to get another play off? Did not get out of bounds. Yep, they'll get one last play. Davis drops it, avoids the tackle, and the completion to Gay, and that will bring the game
to Anthony Gay, and that will be the last play of the game. 21-7, the final score here on Week 9. The Tigers with the scoring in the third quarter. And that is your final from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Don't go anywhere, though. We've got 2 band performances to show you in just a moment. They, of course, were preempted at halftime due to our homecoming festivities, but we will have the Marching Tigers and the Marching Mustangs up next. So, Neil, while we wait for the bands to take the field, of course, you know, Wekiva needed this victory in order to get a wild card spot. Jones also needed the victory in order to really secure a wild card spot. The Tigers are going to walk away with the victory tonight, and, you know, Wekiva showed a lot of promise. There were a lot of good moments, but again, it was really a defensive contest, and Jones being a little bit more consistent than Wekiva on the defensive regard. Of course, the receiving or the special teams touchdown, kind of cracking the armor and breaking things open for Jones. It gave them the momentum advantage, and they were able to take advantage of it. You know, Wekiva's defense did a great job tonight. 21 is actually below Jones's season average. although 7 points allowed is actually about in line with their season average on defense. But incredible work by the Tigers, both on the defensive line at the line of scrimmage and in the secondary, just denying Davis a lot of opportunities. He was throwing into coverage every time. He was not able to make safe throws, and so you saw a lot of lost yardage because of that tonight. And it goes down as a 2-score win for the Tigers.
Yeah, as you just mentioned, pretty much went according to the script coming in for the season. Jones giving up, scoring 24 points, so just almost the same. They gave up 9 points if you do not include the Duncanville, Texas game, all the Florida-based games. But it really was a situation, mentioned it with about a minute left. Wekiva was competitive, 0-0 at halftime. But when it came down to it, they just were not able to make those handful of plays, those 4 or 5 plays where Jones did. And really, I thought the biggest play was at the beginning, of course, the fumble return for 10 yards. Terrell Weathers fumbling. First play out of the break, a 10-yard that 10-yard return, as you said, that really broke the armor to begin with. But I thought the play that really put this game away in terms of the victory for Jones was the 72-yard pass completion. Maxine Jean Denise doing what he's done all year. Does not complete a lot of passes, just 46%, but when he does complete them, they are backbreakers. It was a 45. It was a 72-yard completion, and that put it up 14-0. Also want to point out, Mark, Wekiva, one of their other bugaboos, one of their biggest problems they've had all season, and you might even put this at the top of the list, is they had opportunities. Of course, in that first half, they blocked the punt. It was great they blocked the punt. It was great they got the ball inside the 25-yard line, but then they were unable to score. And, of course, they also missed the field goal at that time. It was even because Jones had missed one. But, again, Jones went from both those teams missing a field goal to taking advantage of their 3 or 4 opportunities where Wekiva did not.
Absolutely, Neil. And so we will now turn our attention to our halftime performances, even though it is, if you haven't noticed, not halftime.
And so also that leaves Wekiva with a 4-5 record and Jones at 6-2. And as we mentioned, they more than likely secured a wild card spot, coming in as the number 2 in the Region 1 Class 3M. So they certainly will not drop. And Mark, take it away.
And now we welcome to the field the Jones High School Marching Tigers, presenting their halftime show, a J-High House Party.
All the way from 801 South Rio Grande. Give it up for Jones High School Tigers. Drum majors, Travis Peoples and Antonio McGee. Break it down. Under the direction of Mr. Bruce Green. We present to you a Jones High School House Party. know the words? Go ahead and sing along. Come on, Tigers. There's joy, there's pain, there's sunshine and rain. Now do the kids play J.I. Come on. They're classy, they're sassy, they are spunky. Give it up for JHS Elite. Give it up again for JHS Elite. Directed by Mr. Bruce Green, the band will now play There Goes My Baby by Usher. Ladies and gentlemen, feast your eyes on our fabulous flag corps. directed by Miss Bruce Green. There Goes My Baby by Usher. Let's break it down, man. It's showtime. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here. Slow it down. Now let's take it to the 3-0-5. Let's go. Let's ride. Break it, break it, break it, break it. Under the direction of Mr. Bruce Green, professional instructor Mr. Dion Giles, company's instructor Mr. Gary Parker and Brian Trippy, major rec instructor Mr. Shane Glover, flag instructor Mr. Damon Chapman, and JXS League instructor Mr. Shanika Dunning. We thank you, Wekiva Mustangs, for having us.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you once again for coming out to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium here at Wekiva High School. Now entering the field, your Wekiva High School Marching Mustangs. The band is under the field command of drum majors Miranda Hennessy and Jarmetria Martin. The band captain is Jeffrey Exonay, and the drum captains are Mackay Jackson and Jameson G. Charles. Tonight, the band will be performing for your post-game entertainment our 2022 field show, West Side Story, featuring Tonight, Maria, Cool, One Hand, One Heart, and Somewhere.
Doing 5 songs?
Drum majors Miranda Hennessy and Jarmetria Martin. Is the band ready? You may now begin your halftime performance.
Right here on the front.
again, let's give a big round of applause for your Wekiva High School Marching Mustangs. The Wekiva High School band is under the direction of Mr. Joshua Grosniklaus. The assistant director is Mr. Frank Taylor. The percussion instructor is Mr. Justin Eubanks, and the color guard instructor is Mr. Michael McKee. We would like to thank the generous donors who have supported the band program this year, including Bennett Road Automotive Service, Bowen Brothers Transportation, Central Florida Pulmonary Group, Orlando Import Auto Specialists, and Orlando Web Concepts. Thank you so much to our wonderful audience for your love and support of the Wekiva High School Marching Mustangs.
That takes us to the conclusion of our broadcast. We want to again thank Mr. Keith Dickerson and his entire program at Wekiva TV Broadcast Production for bringing you the video aspects of tonight's show. Also, special thanks to everyone who made homecoming a success tonight, and congratulations once again to Alexander Goby and Cecilia Eberly. For Neil Fisher, this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs and sports information director here at Wekiva High School and executive producer of Wekiva Sports on YouTube and Varsity Sports Network. 21-7 is the final score here on Week 9 of Wekiva football. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School Athletics in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. Good night from Mustang Field here at Baptiste Orthodox Stadium in South Apopka. We are off next week for a bye week, and we will see you in 2 weeks for the Mayor's Cup as Wekiva hosts Apopka to wrap up season 16 of Mustang football. Good night.